Hey, my bad. Sorry, Alexandra, I forgot to unmute. Is student 127 here? Okay, good. So as long as you heard all that. Go ahead. Have questions?
So is this recorded?
This is recorded.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm gonna very quickly recap what I did for 127. I'm sorry, Martina, I probably won't repeat your first one because I did not unmute. So for this one, couple of things that we would modify: rounding the corners, adding the missing elements of back plaza, the retaining walls, the stairs, and the ramps. You don't need that sidewalk, but instead you need outline for the plaza space. You could choose to enlarge this drop-off area so that it could accommodate 3 cars at the same time, and then eliminate that road, instead connecting the road like this. So it turns, there's only one direction, and the parking lot itself is always two-way, okay? Do not need that intersection. This one drop off flipping over, and also move the drop off to the more, to the flatter area. Okay, so that's the recap for this submission, and I'll move forward to the next one. Okay, keep going. All right, 128. Oh, sorry. I was trying to make it bigger. So this is a straightforward one-way, no, two-way, two aisles of parking strategy. This is good. This is good. Okay, that's good. This is questionable, and I wouldn't open this up. I would make it straightforward. One load of the parking, and then they have a drop-off turnaround over there. I see that ramp. You don't need 2 ramps, you only need one of them. Also only need one of the set of stairs. Back plaza, they all look good. Let me try to clear. I think the major issue is it's in this area. This is pretty steep, so you would want to try to move it over to a less steep space. And it seems like you have more space over here. So if you don't have enough length to accommodate all the parking spaces, I would actually suggest that you try mirror it. You have a better chance of fitting all the parking space and the bus and a car drop off in this area than in this area. Okay, because you simply have more space here. So if you can flip it, basically mirror it, you have your parking over here, and then this is the drop off, and then you have the bus turnaround over there. Then less of your parking space will be in a steeper space. Okay, and you will be able to fit in all the parking spaces without having partial one-way parking there. Okay, otherwise the solution works well, and the connection to the building, they all look okay. It's just, we're running out of space here, and this is putting in a pretty steep space. And then later on you'll find out we need to fit in a swale in front of the building. So that will create difficulty for you to create a good walking space over to your building. And this overall is very close to the building. Okay, so I would definitely suggest just mirroring it, having the parking over here and the bus drop off and driving on this side, and simply fit No, make a simplistic design so that you don't have a one-way parking at the end. Okay? Any other questions? You asked, does this drop-off work? Pedestrians are allowed to walk across the car drop-off, but not bus, right? You could. You are not interfering with traffic with this car drop-off. You're basically, potentially in the future, you will have problems with drainage. Okay, you won't be able to foresee it at this moment, but your swell will need to go through your car drop-off later on, which will be difficult. Okay? All right. Any other questions for this one? All right, I'll move forward. All right, 129, turn radius good, looks good. And, oh, this is just too close to the vegetation, right? It needs to be 50 feet away. Otherwise, your plaza space doesn't look spacious enough, so you can push the building backward. So this is definitely too close. It needs to be 50 feet. This is, yes, this is acceptable for, yeah, 90-degree works. And car drop off. Does this car drop off work? It work? Yes, that's right. Well, we need more space. Okay, we need more space from your edge of the parking lot to your building. So you move this back about, I would say 25 feet at least back. Then I want to make this like a raised walkway. That's a good idea. And in the previous years, we guided many students to try to create that raised sidewalk, a walkway. Is the purple lines here fine to put in the AutoCAD file? Yes. Once you do the grading, you'll find actually there are multiple lines because you're essentially creating ramps, a 4-direction ramp. Okay, so this look good. This can be larger. You can enlarge the car drop off so that it could fit 3 cars. Okay. That walkway is conflicting with the car drop-off area. So it can only be partially. So for now, let's remove those purple lines. Because your car drop-off area design, that area definitely needs to be enlarged for you to be able to create that. Yeah, it requires you to create a multi-direction ramp, which for now is a little too complicated to include. And okay, push this building backward to about here. Move this over like this. Oh, sorry. Move this over like that. And then you have the plaza space like this. And the other thing is, I might want to orient your building a little differently. If your car drop-off is right in front of the building, well, depending on how you view the aesthetics of the building, usually you would want the door of the building or the center of the building to face something other than the center of the parking lot. Okay. So I might suggest that you actually move the building a little bit over, or you even push the parking lot over here to the side because you still have space. You still have a lot of space here. You know, your parking lot can even be moved up here so that the drop-off area and also the center of the parking lot, it's not directly aligned with the building, the center of the building. Okay. Some rounding necessary here. Okay. That's all I have for this one. Any other questions? Okay, good. Okay, 155. So this is in the right direction, but there are a couple things needing attention, okay? The first one is the typical blade. You need to find a typical blade-shaped parking lot and start to, no, I would say the former one is a good example, okay? So pay attention to where your curb starts, your road starts and your curb starts. Instead of having a curb extending in that direction, actually you won't have paved space. Coming back to the submission, you won't have paved space over there, right? Your road would continue like this, right? You have a small island over there. Your road will continue like that and then connect. So that space would not be paved. It will be grassed or otherwise vegetated otherwise, right? The same thing with here. Your driving aisle should align with your driving, right? So you drive over, so this if you have a island over there, your driving aisle should continue and then continue that way. So basically we need a lot of revision, okay? A lot of revision as to where the island are, where the driving is. The driving should be like this and continue back. And this one, this row should continue like that and then connecting back, okay? You could potentially connect over here instead of connecting over there, because this one actually encourages, which is not a mistake, it's not an error. But if you want to encourage people to use the bus drop off first, or indicate this is the primary direction that you should go, then you can connect actually along this major road, right? So let me try to clear here. Your bus drop off, the same thing. We need to indicate this is the primary direction, so not a Y-shaped intersection there. And then the parking lot could branch off like this. Okay, you could branch off like that to, again, make up one major road and one major direction for the incoming visitors. Other things, we're missing again some elements at the back. We're getting into the steep area, but once you modify the road, you're actually not in that much of a steeper area there. Okay, so that is okay. Missing plaza line delineations, and that's about it. Any other questions about the submission? Okay, good. So is the lower plaza look far back? That's okay. We can modify. For now, you can have as big of a plaza as you want. Some of the lines in the base file is a set elevation. Yes, please change them back to 0. Okay. So all of the contour lines, it will create some snapping problems if you turn on snap. And then if you align some of your design lines to those contour lines, it will create a chaotic situation because it will mess up your measurements, right? If you're measuring like a 3D line, the midpoint or the other points might be off. So yes, please turn all the contour elevations to 0. All right, that's a good reminder there. Is the bus drop-off location good? Location is good. It seems a little small, so you need to check the radius or the diameter for it to be 100 to 100 or 110 feet for the diameter. And then again, this needs to be a 90-degree connection. It doesn't mean that your line should be like this. You still have to round it to a 25, right? But this should be a 90-degree connection over there. You don't need that. You basically can just turn in like this, right? Again, make sure that this is at least 50. All right, if you are concerned about the stacking distances, you can actually connect over here, which is an even better connection. So definitely in any situations, you would not have stacking issues over here, right? The other thing, ADA should be over here, because closest to the building would be those two directions. Or that one works too. Not that one. That's a little too far away. Yeah, because of that, you don't need the plaza to extend that far. You could end the plaza somewhere there. Definitely check the distance here. If you can fit in, you look like you can fit in 3 cars, but I'm not sure if the radius here is sufficient. Yeah, almost look like you could get rid of that small island. The small island could be causing more problems than conveniences. And everything else, well, stairs should be over here, right? Because your vertical differences is from the top floor to the bottom floor. Your stairs being over there doesn't overcome the elevation difference from here to there, right? Retaining wall look good. Need to add ramp. Okay. Any other questions? Good. All right. Oh, looks detailed. Retaining wall should be on the other side of the ramp. Or the step. Okay. And are my created roads and parking lot entrances acceptable? Yeah, they look good. Some of the corners needs to be rounded. Can you clarify how exactly where to design the stairs and the ramp? For now, what you have is more than what we ask at this point. But your retaining wall should be on the other side. And then, let's see, should be on the other side of the stairs. Okay, stairs should be in the middle of the retaining wall and the building. Because you can imagine this elevation should be flat, kind of flush with the bottom of the plaza. And here you have a steeper slope, right? So the retaining wall, the purpose of retaining wall is to overcome elevation differences between different size of a feature.
Would you put the ramp between the building and the retaining wall too?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because the ramp, you are gradually changing the elevation. So the size of the ramp doesn't necessarily would have an elevation difference with your landscape on the side.
Okay.
Right? So it's much less of a elevation difference than the stairs. The stairs are kind of the extreme cases where you go abruptly, right, in elevation in difference. So no, your ramp would not be between a retaining wall and your building, but your stairs would be, okay? Again, you only need one of each, so you don't have to design both. The future bioretention, you would have some future bioretention over here, but honestly, most of them will be surrounding the parking lot, will be in between. No, the parking lot, no, the island. If you can utilize the features in the parking lot, you can kind of imagine you're saving space, right? Go ahead.
The ramps going into the plaza?
Yes. Yeah, it needs to connect to the bottom plaza.
Can we use the existing vegetation as fire retention too, or no?
No, the existing vegetation is either downhill, pretty steep, right?
Mhm.
Or this is on a hill.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on a hill. So we're not using the existing, you're trying to create depression and divert your dirty water into the depressions, right? So wherever the kind of the destination You can imagine if we have a swale later on, you can imagine these are the directions where, down the slope, you will need some depressions to kind of collect the water and store them, right? And in the plaza, depending on how you design your plaza, you could have water draining that way, and then your retention would be on the side. But on the other hand, you could also have a scenario where you're draining your water inward to the middle. Then it becomes pretty critical that you have something green in the middle. Okay. All right. So how much should we elongate the drop-up areas to provide space for a parked car? Here,
Yeah.
you would essentially have spaces for 3 cars. So the shape of that would look like, so you're extending a little bit more. And then you measure this to be the typical parking space for an additional car, right? And you measure the width to be additional width of a parked car. There are some examples. I don't know if that one is on Canvas, but I'll try to find and upload it to Canvas so that you can see what a car drop off that will accommodate 3 cars at the same time will look like, right? And do we need sidewalks in addition to an entrance plaza? For now, you have a huge plaza. You have some sidewalks. Sidewalks are not a required feature on the rubric, so you don't have to include them. Okay, you're not going to be graded up based on that. How far away from the building should the retaining walls be? The retaining walls will be on the edge of the stairs. Otherwise, will be if there's no stairs. For instance, if I don't have any stairs on this side, my retaining wall actually will extend from the building. Okay, if you remember the exercise we did for grading class, that's where when we don't design a stair, you would basically extend the building wall. It's actually cost effective because you're essentially using the building as part of the retaining wall. How far should it extend into the landscape down here will depend on how you grade your bottom plaza. So that will, you just you only need to indicate where it is, and the specifics will leave to later, okay? Should they run the entire length of the education though? They will at least run the length of the plaza, but they will probably need to run longer than plaza, okay?
When you have the stairs, so it's like retaining wall stairs building, would the stairs be right up against the building then?
It could be, but you don't necessarily have to. It's a boring space if you do that.
Yeah.
It is a pretty boring and depressing space. You might not want to go there. You could be creative later on in terms of how you want to design that stair. But if you design a more complicated stair, you would need more retaining walls, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you can imagine the space in between the different kinds of retaining walls and the building. You would need multiple sets of retaining walls if you want to create a non-linear shape for the stair. Okay. Anything else for this one? Okay, good. All right. How many did I forward to? That's weird. Okay, I'm losing my, oh. Okay. My plotting of marking Is there a different way to do this, or does it have to be at 90 degree? So the whole thing, we're placing the parking lot into a pretty steep area. So the whole thing, it's better that you move it to this area. Okay. And this one, no, we have a lot of flat area here, so you can make the road as linear as you want. Oh, that one. So you could do something like this and have your drop off over here before it gets to, we're pushing the building to a pretty steep area here. So this would be, it would be better if you move your building also up a bit to somewhere here. Right, somewhere here. And then the reason that I suggest doing that is we're approaching the property line here. And because we need to modify contours later on in this area, you might not have the space. You probably wouldn't go out of your property line to do that. So even if this is at about the same elevation as before, this is further away. The new location is further away from the property line, making it much easier later on to treat this area. Okay, so this will be changed to something like this. Okay, connecting into your parking lot. You see, no, we're getting into pretty steep area, and also our parking spaces are kind of forced into an irregular shape because we're pushing these two connecting road are pushing the parking lot into the steeper area, which is not necessary. Okay, so let me try to clear that, and this will be your new kind of composition. Okay, one straight road going into the drop-off area, branching off just one of them, and this road would lead to this driving aisle. Okay, and then you can create a simple blade-shaped parking lot that way. Let the first parking space be able to access properly. That's why we ask you to suggest that you simplify this. Okay. Anything else for this one? Again, adding the missing components of the plaza, yeah, I'm seeing these lines. These lines seems a little too random to me. You would actually remove much of those lines and then simply say, this is my plaza. Okay, if you move the building, actually your plaza will be sort of like that. Okay. All right, I'm gonna clear and then go into the next one. Okay, we have many road. We probably need to simplify. We have single loaded parking and how many parking spaces do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So we have about 25. Yeah, 25 single loaded. That's not enough. In this case, I'm gonna ask you to do the boring thing of either elongating this part of the parking for it to be a single load with one drop off at the end. Like this. Sorry, I'm not drawing very well. That's probably too big for that one. You can start early and then connecting from here. That makes sense. If you need more space, you could put it here but connecting from the middle. Then this one, again, turning over a little bit more, having the drop off over here, moving the building somewhere over here. Okay, so that you have enough space in the middle. Overall, either turn this into a single load two-way or make a blade having a shape that is like more like this. Okay, utilizing the flatter area over here as much as you could. Now using this contour line as the boundary, as the guideline for the edge of your plaza. Okay. All right. Does the one side of the parking lot count as single loaded parking? Yes. So we encourage that you get rid of those. What color should vegetation be? You don't need to have color on this version of submission. Should the plaza outline be a box around the outside of the parking? Nope, the plaza outline can be simply, no, as long as you distinguish using lines where the paved surface is, then that's sufficient. Okay, it doesn't need to be an enclosed polyline. For now, I see a enclosed box, but that actually creates some confusion as where the building line is. And no, you basically need a couple lines, right? A couple lines just separating your vegetated area and your paved area. Is the placement of the parking lot fine in relation to contours? It's mostly no, you're getting into pretty steep area here. I would suggest that we stay away from those steep contours, especially we do not go over this major contour line. Okay, we still can do we'll be okay for later on grading if we get into the first two contour lines here. You kind of see there's a steeper area over here. Try to stay away from these clustered three contour lines, especially the major one. Do not go over the major one. But if you have to cross the first two, that shouldn't be too much of a problem for later. Should I add another set of parking lot? Yeah, I think we addressed that. Okay, adjust your parking. The critical thing is to adjust the shape of a parking lot to a single load or not single load, sorry. Yeah, single loaded, but no, not one way. Okay. Oh, this one I think we talked about. We skipped one, I guess. Well, no, it's actually my mouse. I'm not going forward. Okay, 133. Please make the font a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. The composition looks good, but the problem is we're not staying 50 feet away. We need to be 50 feet away from here. Okay, so that means I need to move to about here. And also we have a lot of flat space over here we're not using. So the whole thing could actually be pushed in this direction, right? Whole thing pushed over to that direction. Meaning that we're probably somewhere here for your parking lot. And then the connection to, it will be somewhere over here. Because again, we're utilizing the flat area. Once we get into these contour lines, it will be hard for your swell. And I can also see there's a pretty small distance between your drop off and your building. Again, always remember that you will have a swell later on that need to go around the building and out to the side slope. Okay, leaving enough space here and here is pretty important. Okay. Let me clear and take a look at the other things. These look good. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, those look good. So it's a matter of just moving things and probably rotating, okay? Slightly rotating the elements that you have now. Let's see what your questions are here. Oh, goodness. My mouse. I'm trying to. Come on. Trying to read your text. My parking lot drop off circle, position in a way that makes sense. Not what can I do for please. Here. It's a plaza space between the building and all right. There's something I could do to make it better. Do we need to add sidewalks along the parking and drop off zone that connected to the plaza? Your sidewalk is a little too long on the other side. You can imagine that folks are dropped off over here, right? If you don't expect people to walk along here, then I wouldn't say that part of the sidewalk will be used much. So the sidewalk that's necessary is along here because it also makes more sense, right? When people see the building here, they would tend to walk on a sidewalk that's closer to the building, right? So makes more sense to have sidewalks here, so other people walking from there can just walk along here to get onto the plaza, right? So I would remove that one and keep this portion or add the sidewalk to here. And it could stop right there because once you drop people off, the bus drove away and your pedestrians are mostly going to be, not going to be in this area that much. Okay. I can see you have some other sidewalks. Not sure this portion is necessary. Again, when people see the building, they would walk like that. Okay, so you could actually start somewhere here instead of there. Right? Okay. That's all for this one. Then we'll move forward. Okay. This is 135. Well, I would say this needs a more work because we don't see the parking spaces yet. Okay, we have the bus drop off, they are more or less okay for now. The parking space is where you need to spend a lot of time working on. I would suggest starting with with just drawing in CAD a simple blade-shaped parking lot and just put it in there. Okay, find example from the lecture file or find example from online resources of a really simple blade-shaped parking lot and put it on the north side of where you have your parking lot now and see how that works. Car turnaround, I would say a little too small. You need to look up the radius for it. You can use the grading class, the final project turnaround as an example. And yeah, that's how I would suggest this student to move forward. Okay. If you're here, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or directly speak. Okay. Next one. We'll need to rotate page. For the start of my parking lot design, should I move it closer to the building? Your parking design is incomplete. I would make the same suggestion. You could try, if you are using a single loaded parking, you probably get it for now. The better solution would be put the single loaded parking on the north side and the bus drop off on the south side. Okay. If you are doing a double loaded, the blade shape parking, it could be in here because you have a lot of flat space, or it could be on the north side as well. That's your decision. But either way, I would suggest starting with a complete parking design. Okay, either a single loaded or double loaded parking design, and place it in this flat area, either here or there. Okay, so far this radius looks okay, but then again, you need to clearly indicate that I am turning vertically, not vertically, with a 90-degree angle once I exit. Okay, so this drop off here, it is you don't have to have a turn. Okay, you just naturally merge, not naturally flow around the drop off, and then you have a 90-degree turning radius there. Okay, start with completing the parking lot design. That's how you should move forward. Next. Learning. This is student 137. Again, you don't have to use color for the vegetation. I'm not sure if you're referring to plotting in CAD. But either way, you don't have to, I don't remember any requirements that you have to draw. You have to draw out vegetation in the space mat. I'm not sure that's the requirement. So if you could clarify what you're asking, that'd be better. How do you label the plaza? You basically type in plaza, okay? The way you did upper plaza, lower plaza, that's good, but you do not use a box with dash lines. Again, you just draw out the pavement boundary lines, okay? The parking lot, it's not complete. No, you're using a single loaded, basically you need to, no, the parking lot are not in the right dimension yet, okay? 9 by 18 or 10 by 20, they should be in those dimensions. Turnaround, same problem. We're not doing a Y. No, they should not be equal, okay? They should be 90-degree. This needs to be much larger. So it needs to be 200 feet long, okay, 200 feet long. Again, look up the radius for that one. We're not using the flat space that much yet, so that could mean, well, once you correct the dimensions of the plaza, not the parking lot, you might get into that flat space a lot better. So that might mean you need to turn the parking lot this way, okay, to get that 200 length of the parking lot. Again, adding other elements down here. Well, this needs a lot more work than it's shown here. Okay. Yep.
That one wasn't mine, but I think it can provide some clarity on what they're trying about the landscaping. On the Canvas requirements, it says to include an outline of adjacent landscape areas featured by retention.
Oh,
Which is why I think so
okay.
many of us have questions about that.
Okay. So is that requirement an interim or a final? That's a final. I think it's a final. Exercise 1 final, right?
It's listed on the interim too, though. Like
Okay.
on the top part of the interim.
Let's see.
Requirements. It's under the first list. That says
Include road, parking lot, sidewalks, outline of adjacent landscape areas, future by retention. Okay. So in that case, you would create a different layer, and in CAD, it's called, you call it bioretention. Okay, a bioretention, it could be it could simply be bubbles. Simply be bubbles around your parking lot in your drop-off area or a plaza area where you anticipate that you would have swells going into. Okay, around your parking lot, it will be a series of different bubbles. If you have seen some of the green streets around town, in downtown area, many of them are rectangular. So it's okay if you want to choose a rectangular instead of a bubble to indicate where the bioretention are. But once you get into mostly rural, not rural, vegetated area instead of the plaza or around the parking lot, it will be better if you use a more organic shape for the depression that you are going to create. Go ahead.
How there's like a curve and then grass, like something like a patch, is that what you mean? Or just-
So-
just like-
It will be, let me show you. Let's see. So for instance, if I use this as an example, I would put, again, I didn't turn these bubbles, but you could see, if I turn the bubbles, it will be along the edge of the parking lot, and then some of the runoff of the parking lot will drain eventually into them. Okay? Yeah, you could use rectangulars as well. For now, it's to indicate the locations of them, where you anticipate they would occur. Okay? Well, thank you. All right. Let's move ahead. Very close. This is good. I don't think you have enough width for the bus, the road here. So if you compare the road here, the width of the road here, and then that, you can see the driving aisle are wider than the bus. So I would encourage you to look up, look up the dimension of the primary, not using the one. Look up that road, and these should be the same as that, 25. And that's not enough space for two to three carts. So this should be the same, okay, the same radius as the major road. I'm not sure. Okay, if you have ADA there, then that's correct if you have ADA there, but I would suggest ADA to be here, okay, closer to the building. And then you have a walkway over. Yeah, check the radius, check the width of the road. Get rid of one of them, you need only one of them. So if I turn into the road like this, I only need a small island here, and I would just turn into. So let me try to erase that one. Make it a little more. So I'm gonna turn into this one. Then turn out of. No, that needs to be like this. So this becomes the major one, right? That becomes the major one. And this becomes the. Oh, that's not good. I think you are not having enough length here. That's why it's kind of creating a little strange connection there. I suspect that you might need to rotate, okay? You might need to rotate this because it looks like it will be actually easier this way. And then you would not have enough space, enough length there to accommodate your parking lot that way. Definitely verify that dimension, okay? I think you might need to go that big. In this case, then you can turn from here into your parking lot, and then you would have a loop inside inside here to get into the connection. Okay, so verify that your dimension of the blade shaped parking lot is actually correct. Rotate if you don't have enough space, and then create a connection, one single connection, create a one single connection to your primary entry road here. Okay. Otherwise, well, the relationship looks good. Okay, keep going. Same issue, create one single connection. You don't need both of the drop off over here. Okay, you only need one that is going to be like this. Okay, and then you turn into this leg, and then there's only one leg over there. It does look like you can actually branch it off from here. Let's see. That's a special connection from that area. That's too steep, okay? The reason that we do not want to connect here is because the road here is very steep. So this is relatively flatter. Again, I would recommend that we again connect from here, and then have one single connection to your primary road. Reduce this, simplify, move your building back. Right now, your building is pretty flat. For the building, you actually don't want it to be very flat, right? Because that's not easy for you to create that 10-foot difference from the front to the back. So the building needs to be moved back there. I think I addressed all your questions to ADA spots. I would put it in the middle. And then, yeah, we addressed those. Any additional questions about this one? Okay. Keep going. The road, okay, the road for the drop off, it's too wide. I'm not sure your dimension of the parking space are correct. You definitely have more than enough. Okay, have more than enough. So the critical thing now is to check the dimension here. The relationship look good, right? Keep 50 feet distance, check the width of the road, revise this to be a no primary, secondary drop off, and then remove that connection. No, only leaving one connection is enough. And the connection, okay, the connection should be flowing into one of the driving aisles instead of in the middle. Okay, you cannot have something like I'm in the middle and then I actually face an island and then I have to decide, do I turn left or right? Okay, you put it in alignment with exactly where the driving aisle is. Okay, this is the driving aisle, you just merge into it. And then the other driving aisle is here, and then they turn around again 90-degree and go back from the entry road. Do not create a situation where I have to decide, do I go left or right? Okay. Otherwise, we need a better plaza connection. No, you now have two walkways, which limit where people actually can go. It's too constrictive in terms of I should only go that direction in that limited space, right? Okay, I'm gonna clear. You have a question there. Let me try to zoom into it. Can you clarify with the retaining wall? Retaining wall should be either an extension of the building wall or on the outside edge of the stairs. Where to put the steps and the ramps. Okay, I think we went through those questions. Retaining walls be here and there, and then stairs, if you have one, could be in between the buildings and the another set of retaining wall. Once, if you have stairs here, you don't need the retaining wall here. You only need retaining wall at the outside edge of the stairs. Okay, so those are the questions, and I'll move forward. Okay, the code 143, pretty close. Yeah. Couple of things that I would check. That's probably too close, so you might need to rotate it. You still have space here, okay? No, you can get as close to as northward as this contour line. So you still have plenty of space that you could move the parking lot over. And the other thing is I would make that a little bit further away. Okay, again, think about, we have swells going through, and this is a turnaround. You have curves, right? If that's the case, your swell would actually direct your plaza water into your turnaround, into your drop-off area. Your relatively clean water on the plaza would actually be mixed with your dirty water in the drop-off area, and it's also under the curb. Okay, for that water to be collected, it needs to, you need to cut off, right? Cut through the curb so that that water can flow away and be treated. So that creates additional complexity later on. Does that make sense? So I would suggest not to have your swell actually going through your drop off later on. I would suggest that it goes out of the plaza between the space of the building and the drop off. So that's why you need more space here. Okay. Yeah, otherwise it looks pretty good. Adding more elements, the stairs, the ramps, the retaining walls, labels, okay? All right, I'm moving forward. Okay, so this is too much freedom, all right? First thing, we have one coming in here. That's okay if we go inside here and then go out there. There's no connection between this one and that one. Well, you don't need all these space in between those parking spaces. Okay, otherwise I don't know where the driving aisle is. Well, I can see that you might be, no, it might be intentional that you are creating, let's see. So your looks like this could be all green. Is that your intention?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. If this is all green, that's a good thought. The problem it creates is that I have more space here. I don't have enough space here. Okay, so you can keep that. You can keep that middle green, but I would move it to this side a little bit more. And for now, try to fulfill all the distance requirement from the rubric, including this 50 feet one, okay? And then if this is left, or no, if it's even like 6 feet left for the middle space, that's enough for creating a bioretention area, okay? So let me try to clear. Again, my paved area stops here. So this area, it's a little ambiguous what it is. Okay, you might get rid of these lines and limit your plaza area starting from here or somewhere here. Does that make sense? So this area, it's a little obscure what it is.
I didn't really know there had to be a sidewalk connection from like the beginning of the sidewalk, so that's what I was kind of, or from the parking lot, so that's what I was thinking, but Yeah, I didn't really know exactly how to represent that.
If it's a sidewalk, you could use like a 5 foot or 4 foot width. Right now, the dimension here, it looks like 20 feet, so it feels like, oh, everything is a plaza.
Yeah.
That creates quite a lot of freedom that would actually cause chaos. So let's limit these spaces to parking lot. And then those are the parking lot boundaries, right? And well, we need to examine the radius here. It doesn't look like you have enough radius to turn, okay? Enough space to park or accommodate 3 cars at the same time. And we need to look into the distance here, keep it 50 feet away. This is getting pretty steep, so you would have your turnaround probably getting into that, limiting to that location. And this might need to go like this. And this needs to be moved over a bit. If necessary, limit the width of the center green and get into the flat space here. Your back plaza actually will start somewhere here because this is the side, okay? That's on the slope. So your back plaza would actually, that's big enough for your back plaza. Otherwise, you would have a lot of grading to do if you want both sides to become plaza space as well. Other changes, I would say if you want to have a connection over here, that is doable, but also realize it's pretty steep as well. So if you do not want that steep connection, you could do this typical thing of connecting from the primary entry road. Yeah. That's all the suggestions I have. And I think, yeah, I think you get all of them. Good. Okay. Keep going. All right, that's a different design. 144. What's this thing? That's a depression, and you don't have to worry about that because that's out of our study area. My building too close? Your building could be moved backward a little bit because it's in a pretty flat area. It's my ear turnaround, car turnaround, too close to the vegetation. Yes, definitely, that's too close to your vegetation. I know it seems like you kept 50 feet away from here. You might need a way, oh, the bus drop off, it's pretty grand, right? The feeling, it's like, oh, no, this is a really important bus drop off. Let's see. Too close. What there? Stairs, we talked about that. I would say if you really like this design, it works. It needs a little bit of tweak and you need to save some space. Just squeeze some of the space out of the sidewalk that you created. Okay, if you have created a good sidewalk already for the drop off, so this looks like a good amount of sidewalk already. I would not incorporate another set here. Okay, this is only sort of two aisles of parking, and I don't think that these very wide sidewalks are necessary. They look like they are all 10-foot wide. Yeah, they're 10-foot wide. The minimum would be 4. Yeah. 4 or 5. 4 foot will allow 2 people to walk alongside each other pretty comfortably. That will save you some space, and then you can stay out of that pretty steep area there. Okay. Yeah, same thing over here. The side, once your sidewalk is not in those locations and you'll be able to get about 10 feet out of it. And the other thing that might be sufficient, might be sufficient for you to stay out of the steeper area. And also I would suggest align these, okay? Align these roads. So you might just rotate everything just so that your intersection aligns. This line, I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, that was just outlining like the area. I just did not.
Okay, you don't need that out, but you do, I would say, if you have such a grand drop off, you might want to utilize that as, or extend that into a more decent plaza. Does that make sense? Because your drop off doesn't have a plaza yet. So it's like, I come off a pretty grand space of a drop off, and then I am on a pretty narrow sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I think that no, you could have a more sizable plaza in front of that. Okay. Otherwise, we just need to add, the stairs and the plaza, the labels. What else? Oh, okay. We don't have a turnaround for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to add the similar turnaround. Otherwise you're dead end parking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, this is different design, which is totally fine, right? Totally fine. I applaud you for you wanted to go something different than like the typical suggested design. You can make it work. You can make it work. But dead end parking, no. Okay. All right, keep going. So a little hard to see. Well, I would definitely suggest getting in touch with the TAs. Jonathan should be, I will give a heads up to the to the TAs, especially Jonathan. He should be able to help you with the plotting issue. And then we are, yeah, the building orientation is not correct. Okay, building needs to be aligned relatively parallel to the contours because the elevation differences from the top to the bottom. Okay, that'll make it a lot easier for you to create a connection between the front plaza and the back plaza. I would say, no, overall, once you turn your building, the location of the drop-off, the parking lot, the locations, they are reasonable, but you have to get into specifying the parking lot design. And then I would start with the parking lot. It looks like you're designing a single loaded parking lot, which is quite straightforward, right? As long as you get the dimensions of the road, dimensions of the parking spots correct, get the dimensions of the drop-off area correct. Start with that and then put it onto the most flat, okay, the flattest land area, the areas in the map, and then start with the drop off of the bus, okay? Again, we have repeatedly saying that needs to be this shape, okay? Those are the two major steps to move forward. I'll clear and then I'll move forward. 147. Okay. So this is going to require some turning and rotating, okay? I do not, again, these, no for these, okay? Let's be simple. So you are, yeah, we need a lot more parking spaces. This is only 28, I think. Oh, 32. This is 32, so you don't need many more. You only need 2 more on each side. So basically, let's rotate this and put it over here, or put it over here, even better, right? We repeatedly demonstrated if you have a blade-shaped, double loaded parking, this area might be better, because it's larger and flatter to fit in the big footprint of the double loaded parking. The bus drop off, the same problem, right? We need to turn it into like this. Again, we're not, the straight line, the primary aisle should not be on the left. It needs to be on the right. Okay, so that's that. And then the building, you could push it downward a little bit because now it's in a pretty flat area. Stair ramp, well, this is acceptable for this phase. You basically label it. And no, that's not the connection because the side slope here, it's pretty steep. So your parking has to be somewhere here or there. Okay? All right. Okay. So your entrance, that is all right, but your entrance should not lead to, okay. Your entrance, this is not how you create a blade-shaped parking, okay? Your, it will be, the dimensions are similar, but you would need to switch. So you stop right here and then add another one over here. Okay, in the middle could be green space. And then this aisle lead into this driving. I would actually start a little bit earlier from here and lead into the driving aisle here. And then that one actually needs to come out. So there's another one coming out of here. It's pretty bad. So let's go this way. Again, you have space. Now you have space, you want to drop off over here. And then from here, you have a lag that enters into the blade shaped, and then coming out from here, and then this little connection over there. Okay. This area in between could be all green space. You do not want the bus drop off to get into a road that is shared with the parking space. Okay, the parking lot, people will get confused, and then you will see buses and the cars driving in both directions, which creates, again, too much freedom as to you have multiple intersections where you can turn around and mix traffic. Here in this area, we need to again add a more pronounced drop-off area for the cars. And see, is the entrance into my parking drop-off confusing or too windy, I guess. Yes, you mean this area, definitely, right? We do not need to turn a 90-degree to get into it. You can have a better, more smoother curve that's your primary driving access road. Retaining wall, we went through that. Big space following up, yes, this is too much, and then it doesn't really separate the traffic from these two entrances. Drop off to parking lot, dangerous to purple markings. Those we made suggestions that you have a separate one instead of having the bus merge back into the parking lot. Okay, Keep going. How are we doing on time? When does your career fair start? 11, okay. Let's see, how many, we're 5, we have only 5 left. If you feel like you have enough to go on with for your drawing, please feel free to leave, okay? You don't have to sit through, no, because we are repeating a lot from this point on, right? Okay, I think we talked, well, again, this suggestion, same to a couple of previous submissions, you need to start with the parking lot, okay? Parking lot, looks like you're designing a 2 double-loaded parking. Find an example from the lecture file. For now, the relationship is good. You do not need a turnaround like this if you're doing a double-loaded parking, okay? You just basically need to enlarge this area, okay? You do not need a full circle turnaround if you are designing a double-loaded parking here. So that will save you a lot of space between your parking lot and your building, which is a good thing. And the other thing is, I am pretty sure that you're getting into very steep area here. Okay, so this whole thing, the dimension of the parking lot is too big. Check that dimension, and you need to move it to the southeastern direction, in this direction. Okay, move it out of the steep area. Because you only plotted the major contour, that might have given you the delusion that the slope there it's pretty flat, but actually not. Once you plot out the minor contours, the 1-foot contours, you'll see this area gets pretty steep. Okay. So moving forward, we have 152. Yeah, same problem. The problem is that we haven't gotten the parking lot down yet. Okay, the parking lot, 2 simple alternatives if you want to adopt them. If you do not want to create a very peculiar design, just follow the simple dimensions of single-loaded or double-loaded parking. So that's where you should start. The bus drop-off the shape look good, but I'm not sure you have the correct radius, not the correct radius, the correct width for the for the driving aisle yet. The building looks okay, and this is too close to the vegetation, I'm pretty sure. And you do not want to start right here. This is not 100 feet. I think you might have to start over there if you want that connection. Otherwise, you could find a connection in the middle to your parking lot. Okay. So start with this, and then create a single connection to the primary road. You could start here as a separate connection. That's okay, but you need to start, 100 feet away. And meanwhile, keeping 50 feet away from there. If this is single loaded, yes, you would need somewhat of this. This is getting very steep. I would recommend stopping somewhere here. Okay, you need space between these drop-offs and your buildings. Okay. This one, it's a different one. It could work. This is a little too close to your property line, right? A little too close to your property line. Again, we have a lot of flat space that we didn't use, but instead we use the more steep one. Okay, so the suggestion for you would be to actually move things to this direction. Okay, this is very steep now. Okay, those areas are very steep. So if you could actually, make the road like that, you have a lot of space here that you can use for your parking lot. You could even connect them to the single one. Okay, connect them to a single one starting from somewhere here all the way back there. And then you have your drop off somewhere here. This should be enough space, 200 feet, for you to spread out your single loaded parking. Okay, you need to find a way to free the flat land in the middle, right? And this one, I for sure, if your parking space sort of stop right there, you could even move this one up a bit, stay off the steeper road here, right? The location of the building, I would move it to the east a bit, a little bit far away from the property line here, right? So this is a good start and just need some tweaking, okay? 40 parking lot, can't remember, it's 288 or 488. Double check the rubric. Always go to the rubric. Is there an easy way to draw the curve instead of tracing everything again? Draw the curve, you can use the offset. You don't need to draw the curve at this point, okay? No, the curve wouldn't be, even if you need to draw a double line for the curve later on, it would not be to scale, just because the curve is only that much, right? If you print it out, the two lines will just overlap. So actually later on, you would actually offset for 1 foot. That will clearly show on the CAD drawing. And we all understand the curve is not actually to scale at that point. So no, you don't need to draw the curve to scale. Essentially you offset by 1 foot, right? Keep going. I think that's the last one. That's the last one. Well, thanks for sticking around. If you had any additional questions and you're not in a hurry to leave, feel free.
Show you a design I had.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too, but take your time.
Yeah.
I don't know how to actually-
So, Alexandra, I know you're online. If you have any additional questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type in chat, okay? Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if this was too ambitious because I only had one drop off. That was something I was looking at.
So
Some-
I'm trying to orient myself where the vegetation is and where the. So if you were to put it on the base map, how would you put it?
I was imagining like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so you want to have two separate with a bus drop off in the middle, is that
Yeah,
right?
That's what I was.
This one would actually cause more impervious surfaces, more paved surfaces, because you have longer road connecting them. And if both of them are double loaded, is this single load or one way or?
Yeah, yeah, I was also thinking about that, 'cause I think I don't know if it'd be confusing. I would imagine them go that way. They could go that way. Or
Yes, once you get here, you have three
yeah,
choices. You could get into here. Once you get in here, you make another two choices, right? So I would say yes, that's a lot of choices to make once you get into this major driving aisle. And also you can see the average paved space per parking space is very high, because you can see all the road space, they're only servicing limited amount of parking spaces. That's what we are trying to avoid, because you want efficiency, right? You don't want a huge footprint for a limited amount of parking spaces. So I would not go this way.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, it's always good to try different options instead of going straight forward to the recommended one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, I have some questions too.
Go ahead.
I'd rather for a Christmas, so might as well. Not even to get out.